Cindy's Kitchen. I'm going to show you yet another favorite pumpkin recipe tonight. Pumpkin Snickerdoodles. And I'm going to be making a double batch. So for that double batch, we're going to be using 1 cup of unsalted butter. However, this is salted. That's what I have on hand. And it'll be a total of 1 cup of white sugar, 2/3 cup of brown sugar, and 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree, and 2 large egg yolks. We don't need too much moisture in this recipe, so we're using yolks for richness. And then 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and then 3 cups of flour, which is in here, 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and so for a total of 3 teaspoons for the double batch. And then 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon cream of tartar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. So what I'm going to do first is get the butter and sugar to creaming in the mixer. That's the best thing to do. Get your butter and sugar going first so it can get really whipped and creamy. And let me move this out of the way, make it easier to see. And let me grab a scraper. Alright. So as I slowly unveil the butter, see, look, it's butter. Alright. Okay. Freshly cleaned countertop. Don't worry about the butter getting on the counter. It was never proof fatal, so don't worry about it. Okay. I've noticed online people worry about things that are totally inconsequential because they must not have anything else to do with their time. Okay. Sometimes I look at people's posts and comments of other posts just for the entertainment of the comment section. That way you can truly see how much free time the average person has. They can worry about things that really don't matter. Alright, so I'm going to put 2/3 cup, 1/3 cup twice is 2/3 cup of packed brown sugar. And I have a brand new bag because the previous bag was lumpy and I didn't like that, so I got some smooth brown sugar. You can save your lumpy brown sugar for your oatmeal. So there's 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar.
Can get lumpy.
It gets hard. I ground up a whole batch in the food processor because it just got all clumpy. It usually tends to be when there's too much moisture in the environment. And since we had a very humid spell there for a while with the hurricane and some rainy days here and there, that kind of contributed.
So how much sugar was that you put in there?
So for the double batch, we have 2 sticks of butter for a total of 1 cup of butter, and a total of 1 cup of white sugar and 2/3 cup packed brown sugar. So we're going to let that mix, and then while that's mixing, I'm going to get together the dry ingredients. Here. Now this is where I keep my flour. It's best to keep your flour in an airtight container. You know, Tupperware does a good job with airtight containers. So 3 cups of flour. The best way to measure flour is to scoop and turn, aerate the flour because it settles while it's sitting down. Well, it's sitting down, it's inanimate, but while it's sitting in the bucket. And then, so that's 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And for the spice part of this, we're going to have 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and the baking soda is 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon baking soda. Then we have 1 teaspoon of salt. I get the plain iodized salt because I don't like that aftertaste in baked goods. And if you eat a healthy, varied diet, you probably don't need that iodine anyway. Unless your diet is solely made up of Fruit Loops. You know, you're probably getting enough dietary iodine. Okay, and this is a half a teaspoon of tartar. That gives that the snickerdoodles are characteristic tang for taste. And then we need to get a tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice.
I didn't know there was such thing as pumpkin pie spice.
Yes, it's the cousin to pumpkin spice.
Okay.
No, seriously, I think it's the same thing. It's just everybody makes a big deal out of pumpkin spice in the holidays. So, tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice. So that's the dry goods that we need. Let me get a whisk. I think a whisk does a good job of combining the dry goods. So we're going to stir the spices into the flour. That makes sure that it gets evenly incorporated, which means mixed in. Alright. Now I'm going to scrape down the mixing bowl. Make sure that everything is coming together nicely. Scrape that. I'm going to let that continue to mix. Let me get the eggs separated. So it needs 2 egg yolks. And this is an old-fashioned Tupperware egg separator. Tupperware has had a lot of classic kitchen gadgets, so why mess with the classics? So this is just for not having the recipe be too wet. So it's not like you're making a meringue and can't have any of the whites, any of the yolk contacting the whites. So it's not as crucial that they're completely separated. Just pull the albumin off as best as you can. Oh, I got cinnamon in the little bowl here. Alright, now the pumpkin pie spice. So that's one.
So you just plop that egg yolk right in there and it just separates the yolk from the white?
Right. I think it's because there's different viscosities and that helps it separate. So you can just usually just pull on this. It's kind of gooey. It looks very attractive, I'm sure, on camera, but I'm just kind of helping the process along here.
That's something my nephew made.
Like slime?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. 2 egg yolks. And now, let me wipe my hand off, or rinse it off rather. I love pumpkin snickerdoodles. And I discovered this recipe and it is sure good. So, now we're going to add in the half a cup of pumpkin puree.
Oh, you're going to put that into the mix?
Yes.
Okay.
Generally when you make cookies, you mix wet ingredients together and then you mix the dry ingredients together and then you combine the two. And then before I forget, since I'm notorious for forgetting vanilla, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, so I'm just going to eyeball it.
Vanilla.
Yes. Just like the 90s lip sync group that got outed, they outed themselves.
Actually, they were the 80s, but that's okay.
The 80s? I know, it's been a long time. Alright. Gonna dump in the egg yolks. And we'll let those blend. Then I'm gonna scrape down the sides, make sure everything is incorporated. Just make sure it's all mixed together. Alright. Oops, I got this all stuck on the side. There we go. Okay, now that that's coming together, I'm going to use this to gradually add the flour to the mixing bowl. I had the fan on and I was like, the flour, that's really going to hit the fan when I go to put it in the mixing bowl. And just let it gradually come together. So you want to get a good up close and personal look at it.
Oh, yeah.
And when I make snickerdoodles, I do it assembly line style because what you do initially with the dough is scoop it out into dough balls and then you roll it. So what I'll do is I will scoop all the dough out onto a cookie sheet, and let me double check and see if this needs to chill, because that does sometimes happen with recipes. I don't think this one does, but let me double check. I've made so many cookies lately. So let's see here. It needs to chill for about 45 minutes. So Logan is going to be done with school shortly. So while the dough chills, we will go retrieve our son who's at school. And then we'll bring you back when it's time to scoop out the dough. So make sure you like and subscribe and share to your friends and give us your feedback. And then when you come back, I'll have the dough chilled and ready to scoop out and roll into snickerdoodles. Alright, and our dough has chilled for 45 minutes. I put plastic wrap on it so it wouldn't get dried out. So I'm gonna let that sit for a sec, and then I'm gonna get the cinnamon sugar ready, which is what we're going to roll the dough balls in. So let me get that ready. So 1/2 cup white sugar. This is for a double batch, which will make about 3 dozen cookies. And if you have any leftover cinnamon sugar at the end of this whole process, it's great on toast or in your oatmeal or in your cereal, any other ways to use it up. So, and then 4 teaspoons cinnamon. All right. 1, 2, 3, and 4 teaspoons of cinnamon. So again, that's 1/2 cup of white sugar, 4 teaspoons of cinnamon, and that will make the cinnamon sugar mixture that we will roll our cookies into. So I'm just going to mix it up with this whisk that I use for the flour mixture. Try to get it mixed evenly, get all the cinnamon incorporated. And what I do when making cookies is I prefer to use the assembly line method, which is essentially doing all of one task or type of task and then moving on to the next type of task. So I have a standard cookie scoop, and what I'm going to do first is scoop out dough balls until I get them all scooped out. Then I will in turn roll them to smooth them out and then dip them into sugar.
Okay.
So there's going to be 3 processes that I'm going to move through as I prepare the cookies. And you know, Mr. Ford had a great idea with the assembly line, and it carries forward into most things. I like to do all of one type of task together. Even I do that at work. So, I'm going to scoop the dough. Just scoop and plop. I'm going to scoop and plop. That's not the technical term, but that works. And now these are not being baked at this stage, so we don't have to worry about spacing. As many as will fit on the pan. So when you get to doing your holiday baking and you have a lot to do, group your tasks. Maybe one day make up all the dough so it can sit in the fridge until you have time to bake it. And then the next day, bake all of one type of cookie. And the following day, bake the other type of cookie. You know, divide and conquer. Don't overthink it. Just break up large tasks or projects into smaller tasks and move through them in an organized fashion, and you'll get through it. So, I'm gonna scoop out the rest of this dough, and then we'll bring you back and we'll show you how to roll all the cookies out. And now, we've dropped the dough balls onto the cookie sheet. And the second part in the assembly line process is to roll the dough balls up. Roll the dough balls up. So this is an easy way to stage your cookie baking for the holidays. Just do all of the light tasks together. Makes things so much easier. And if you have little ones that want to help in the kitchen, this is a good thing too. Of course, you might end up with flying saucer shaped cookies, but they just can't put too much squishy pressure on it, just light touch. So I know that our kids have been making cookies with us for the holidays since they were little because they loved that. You get to sample the dough, sample the cookies. So now we're going to get all of these rolled out, and then we're going to roll them in cinnamon sugar. All right, and we are finishing up rolling out the balls of dough. And make sure you like and subscribe and share to your friends and leave us a comment. We love to hear from you all, and give us your feedback on what you might like to see us make or suggestions about recipes to try. We'd love to hear from you. And now we're going to get the oven turned to 350 so it can heat up while we roll the dough balls in cinnamon sugar and place on cookie sheets that are lined with parchment. So let me wash my hands, because my hands have cookie dough all over them. All right. Okay. 350 is the gold standard for cookie baking, and our oven, the preset is 350. It starts at 350 and you go up and down from there. So that makes it easy. So now I'm going to take a couple of sheet pans, and since the dough is softer than I would normally use, it might spread. So I'm just going to put 9 on each pan rather than the usual 12 to give it some elbow room. These are still a little damp from the last time I baked, so let's see. And these pre-shaped parchment sheets, the cost was similar to buying the roll of parchment, and it was a heck of a lot easier. And to get the crease out of these, you can just take it along your kitchen countertop and kind of reverse the crease. Not a big science to that, but it works. And you can reuse parchment sheets up to like 5 or 6 times, depending upon how much cookie residue they get on them. So that's also the way you can uncurl your parchment if you were using a roll of parchment. So I'm going to get 2 pans ready, and then let's see here. I think I'm going to need a total of 4 based on, it looks like there's 3 dozen here. So let me just get a couple more sheets out and get those ready. And then I can put those on the next sheets, the next cookie sheets. All right, let me just tuck that in, put those there. Now we're going to roll in cinnamon sugar. All right. So you either roll it with a spoon or just shake it. I'm just going to use a spoon. And then, so you roll it in cinnamon sugar, and then put it on the cookie sheet. Ah, these are softer. You can, it says a minimum of 45 minutes, but if you were to make this dough, say, the night before, and then go back at it after you get home from work, so it's chilled for 24 hours, that's also a good idea to do. So, I'm gonna roll these all in cinnamon sugar and continue filling up the cookie sheet trays. And let's see here. Trying to decide if I should do 12 or 9 on each pan. We'll see how that goes. So now I have 2 trays of 9 ready to go into the oven. And I decided to err on the side of giving them room to spread rather than crowding them. Because it makes for a prettier cookie if you don't crowd your cookies. So I'm going to put these in the oven and let them bake for about 10 to 12 minutes. Then we're gonna roll out some more cookies and we'll bring you back when they come out of the oven. All right, and these cookies have baked for about 12 minutes. You wanna err on the side of just becoming done rather than overdone because you don't want burnt hard cookies because that kind of defeats the purpose. So we're gonna let these sit a few minutes on the sheet pan and then we'll put them on the cooling rack to further cool before we do a taste test. And so all the cookies have baked. I had 2 batches go in the oven and these have cooled. So Logan's gonna do a taste test.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. And these are just regular old Snickerdoodles?
Pumpkin Snickerdoodles.
Pumpkin Snickerdoodles.
Yeah.
Oh boy. You can never go wrong with Snickerdoodles in the first place, but make them pumpkin and
Yep.
You taste pumpkin in them?
oh yeah. Delicious.
Before we go, tell us what you're working on now.
Hey, one moment, I got my mouth full.
Okay.
Alright, while he finishes his mouthful, I'll give y'all a quick tip. If your cookies get a little friendly in the oven and start sticking to themselves, separate them apart gently and then use something round. These are some biscuit cutters and just jiggle it like this while it's still warm from the oven and it can help reshape them because some of these had stuck to themselves.
They like each other.
Yes. So now Logan,
Yeah, so the new show I'm working on, I know you're probably thinking, what? Last month he was just in 2 other shows. Yes, I know, I'm crazy. But anyway, so the show I'm working on right now, Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, doing another show up at BC, and we open in, I think, exactly 2 weeks. So we open on the 16th and we run through the 18th. We got 4 performances. We'll put up the banner for you right now, give you all the information, and I can't wait for you to come see it.
Come back to you.
Alright, and this double batch yielded about 42 cookies with the standard cookie scoop. So, these are all cooled, and I had 1 dozen pre-sold, so I bundled that up already, and that's ready to go. And then these I'm probably going to sell in 2 packs, because a lot of people have been asking for these. So, thank you again for joining us, and we'll be bringing you back for more holiday recipes. And the next thing I want to try is a recipe off the Philadelphia cream cheese box, and it is Snickerdoodle cheesecake bars.
Ooh, so we're doing a Snickerdoodle thing.
Yeah. So it's something similar. I really want to try it, so most likely we'll do that one next. So thank you again for joining us, and make sure you've liked and subscribed and share this video and give us some feedback. Let us know what you would like to see us do, and we'll see you again real soon. Have a nice evening.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.